Have you ever wondered how a quiet, private message between two total strangers can just blow up into a public movement for justice? Well, today, we're going to break down this incredible story that starts in the DMs and turns into this huge collective fight against a massive scam.
Okay, so this is literally where it all begins. One person reaches out to a complete stranger on Instagram with a question that just cuts right to the chase. Did Ghazala Din scam you too? I mean, that's not a casual hello, right? That's a search for someone who might share the same awful experience.
And this one question, this shot in the dark, ends up being the very first thread they pull to unravel a story that is so much bigger than they could have imagined. And the reply? It comes back fast, and wow, it's a gut punch. Yes, unfortunately. In just those two words, a bond is formed. It's the confirmation they were both dreading, but also the one they really needed to hear. They weren't alone. And right there, that's the moment the real investigation kicks off. So once they knew they weren't the only ones, the next big question was, just how deep does this rabbit hole go? They started trying to piece together the true scope of this whole thing.
And pretty quickly, they find a pattern. One person says she keeps saying she will, but when the day comes, she always comes up with excuses. And the other one is like, yep, typical. Same with us. They're seeing the exact same delay tactics. It's a classic red flag, and they've both been through it.
Then, of course, the conversation turns to the money. When one asks how much the other is out, the first number that pops up is a big one, $15K. We're talking $15,000. This is not a small amount of cash, and it immediately makes it clear just how serious the financial damage really is.
But get this, when the question gets flipped back, what about you? The answer is just chilling. You don't even want to know. That one line tells you everything. It hints that $15K, as much as that is barely scratching the surface. And then, boom, the truly staggering number comes out. After talking to a few other people, one of them comes back and says the scammer took 6 figures from them combined. We're talking more than $100,000. The scale is it's way, way bigger than either of them first thought. You can really feel the shock and the moral outrage in this message. At this point, it's not just about the money anymore. It's about how someone could be so brazen and the heavy emotional weight of being betrayed like this, which so many people were feeling. Now, even though they were starting to understand how huge the problem was, the victims felt totally powerless. They were trapped by what they thought was this kind of perfect legal loophole. And this right here is the key, this shared feeling of hopelessness. They're convinced there's nothing they can do legally. As one of them says, she knows she's got away with it. And honestly, this is such a common and dangerous misunderstanding for victims of these kinds of scams.
But that feeling of being trapped, well, that was about to be completely shattered. One little piece of information was about to come along and change absolutely everything.
And here it is, the breakthrough. One of the victims explains that, actually, people can report her. Why? Because she took money under false pretenses for these so-called investments that she couldn't prove even existed. That makes it a criminal offense. This isn't just a personal debt, it's straight-up fraud. And suddenly, the strategy becomes crystal clear. You see, one person filing a report might get brushed aside. But if a whole bunch of people file reports, that builds a clear pattern of criminal behavior. And that's something the police are way more likely to take seriously. Their strength is in their numbers. So this new legal insight was a total game changer. It completely flipped their approach from feeling helpless and just sad to being empowered and ready to take strategic action. All of a sudden, they have a real plan. They're not just sharing sad stories anymore, they're organizing. They decide to file police reports as a group, get in touch with the media to get their story out there, and find other victims who've been silent and encourage them to speak up. And they didn't just talk about it, they actually did it. This message is the proof. They got a news channel interested in their story, and now they're offering that platform to other victims. They are actively building a movement. I mean, just look at this journey side by side. On the left, you've got that first, hesitant, almost fearful question sent out into the world. And on the right, a confident, public call to action, bringing in news channels. It's just an amazing visual of how they went from isolated victims to this powerful, united force. So what does this all really show us? It shows that a scammer's best weapon is keeping their victims isolated and alone. But the moment those victims find each other and share their stories, their collective voice becomes this incredible force for justice. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other big problems could we solve if we just started by asking a simple, shared question?